everybody.
Hello.
Welcome back to another episode of B Movie Bash.
B Movie Bash. That was a weird one.
It's okay. They're all weird. That's what we do. I'm Shannon.
I'm Alyssa.
And this week, before this week, I have a couple little announcements that I wanted to sprinkle in. Some matters of business.
Yes.
Our podcast is now on Amazon Music and Audible, which is really exciting. So, next time you're cleaning your living room and you want to use your Alexa to put something on, you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
And then...
I need an Alexa.
You don't have an Alexa?
No.
My thermostat is an Alexa.
Seriously?
Yeah. It just came like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also, if you want to support the podcast, if you want to give us your money, we now have a donation page, which is called a coffee page.
Is it coffee or Ko-Fi?
It's coffee.
I always thought it was Ko-Fi.
Oh, no. It's Ko-Fi, which that's fair.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But it's coffee. So when you go in and you donate, it's like, buy me a coffee.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's just like, here,
sense.
let me just Venmo you $1, it's kind of like that vibe.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So, if you want to, you can go to our Anchor, and then in our Anchor page is our coffee link, and I'll try to put it in like all of our episodes so that it's easy to find. But yeah, the base donation is $1. So if you have a spare dollar floating around and you want to send it our way, we do need new equipment.
We do.
So,
yeah.
But whatever. It's fine. If we don't get anything, that's exactly what I'm expecting.
That's fine as well.
So, I think that was it, though. Amazon Music and Audible and coffee. But this week, we are stepping out of the realm of the norm for a minute.
Okay.
We're still doing Christmas.
Okay.
Happy December still.
Christmas.
But instead of Christmas horror, like the past couple weeks have been, we are dipping our toes into Christmas holiday romance movies. So I hope this goes okay. Like,
if there's not a prince in this movie, I don't want it.
oh my god, don't even get me started on Christmas princes, because did you know there's 3 of those movies?
Seriously?
No, there's like the Christmas Prince, there might be 3 of those. And they like have a baby, and they like, there's this whole saga with that. But then there's also the Vanessa Hudgens, I Didn't Know I Was a Twin. I think it's like Christmas Switch or Princess Switch or whatever. There's 3 of those.
Oh, no. Why?
Yeah. And they find out there's a triplet. Spoiler alert.
There's a triplet?
Yes.
Okay.
There's 3 Vanessa Hudgenses in one movie.
Where the fuck is their mother to tell them any of this? Like,
whoring around, I guess. Like, nothing against Vanessa Hudgens, but I just don't like her. Mm-mm. And so I couldn't do,
I mean, from what I've seen her, in besides High School Musical, she's a decent actress. She's fine, but
she just bothers me for some reason.
It's her face.
Like, everything she says smiling. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, but you're sad, you're crying right now, so maybe don't smile. But...
did you see the one about the guy who's like a knight from like
Yes, I did. Okay. Actually, I was just going to tell you about that, which is not the movie we're doing.
Oh, good.
But I thought about it. Have you seen it?
No, I've only seen people talk about it online, so like...
It's not great. Okay. It's not great. But she is in it, and so Tony was like, do you want to watch this one? And I was like, no, but I will. And I thought about watching it for the podcast. Maybe I still will. But
I don't know all about it. I just know that he was a knight, and
he like time travels, and like, why? It's so stupid. It was so stupid.
Like, I can handle time travel movies, but like also not.
Well, there's parts of it that are like, okay, I'm knee deep in the cheese, and like, this is cute, fine. But like, the rest of it, I was just like, no. But yeah, the whole idea behind this, I mean, obviously, holiday romance movies are everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like, Lifetime and Hallmark and stuff. Like, they shove it down your throat. But Tony and I have been, like, we were just scrolling through Netflix one night, and we couldn't find anything to watch. And so he decided to throw on one of these movies. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of became, like, a thing we started doing. We're like, okay, how do we want to torture ourselves tonight, So this one I found on HBO.
Okay.
But it's a Lifetime movie, so I assume that it's, if they have a streaming thing or it's on Lifetime Channel or whatever. And it was made in 2020.
Okay.
And it's called Dear Christmas.
Dear Christmas. Okay.
Doesn't that sound so sweet?
So sweet.
Yeah. It has a 6.1, which isn't bad, but I think that's because of all the people who like this kind of movie, which I just don't. Like, I will take a rom-com any day, but these cheesy, like they just took the bag of cheese and dumped it in the gumbo pot.
Right, someone's related to Santa. Someone's got to like save Christmas.
Yeah. Have you seen all the TikToks that's like, we need our inn remodeled, and the girl's like, I own a hammer.
Yeah.
Like, yes, exactly like that.
There's this guy going around on TikTok right now that's like, if your realistic friends were responding to you being in like a Hallmark movie and stuff, and he's like getting on FaceTime and he's like, oh my gosh, when the hell are you coming back from wherever it is you are? And you're like, I'm not, I got married. He's like, you got married?
Excuse me?
What? You have an apartment. You have a job here. What are you talking about? It's like, well, my mom's Christmas tree farm was going under, and the guy who runs the hot chocolate stand,
was a big old fat jerk, but then I fell in love with him.
Like, just bullshit. And he's like, what? No! Like, it's hilarious. He's hilarious.
Yeah, I've seen a few things like that on TikTok, and it's just so accurate because it's so stupid.
It's so stupid.
And it's like, it's everything that I ever wanted to have happen to me, obviously. Yeah. But no.
Right. This girl I saw one earlier today, and she was like, I think I might be in a Hallmark movie. She's like, my boyfriend of like a few years who I thought I was going to get married to, like, broke up with me. So I went back home to my little small hometown to visit my family because, you know, I wanted to kind of like, you know, visit family and figure my shit out and stuff.
Not be alone.
Yeah, not be alone. And she's like, and then my like ex-boyfriend, like my high school boyfriend, texted me and was like, hey, I want to meet up and hang out with you. And she's like, am I in a Hallmark movie? What's happening?
Have you seen the one where the girl goes to like small town Virginia or something during the fall, and she's like, I've got my hot chocolate. I'm going into this bookstore. Who's gonna fall in love with me? Like, she's just like, I'm standing in a wooded glen. Anybody? Anyone? No? Yeah.
All right. Well, dear Christmas.
Yes. So 6.1.
Okay.
Because somebody likes cheese, but I am lactose intolerant when it comes to these movies. So it wasn't bad. It was just, it was not great. It's starring Melissa Joan Hart, whom I love, but she was not great in this movie. She was fine. Yeah. She was one of the better actors, but that's not saying a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, she just is a fairly good actress. So, like, I feel like if you're not being a good actor in a movie,
like, what's going on?
You're trying. Like, you're trying not to be.
Well, she also had just gotten lip fillers. Ooh. So she had, like, the bottom lip sticking out from your face kind of thing, where it was just, like, too big for your mouth and you can't talk right. And then I also think she had an Invisalign in the whole time. Yeah. So she had that, like, spitty, I can't close my mouth all the way talk. Okay. Does your mouth feel weird? Because mine does too. Yeah. And then the main male lead, is Jason Priestley, who I had never heard of.
I had no idea who that is.
He was on Beverly Hills 90210 for 10 years. Oh. And a show called Private Eyes that apparently a lot of people knew him from. And I'm sure he was nice looking in his heyday, but he was like 52 when they filmed this. Oh. So it is kind of like an older generation's, you know, like middle-aged love story. Okay. Because Melissa Joan Hart's 45.
No, she's not.
Yeah. She fucking is.
She's 26.
I know. She's forever 17 little Sabrina. Yeah. I know. Okay. So. All right. Let me show you her lip filler situation.
Oh, yeah. That's some, yeah. That's not the best lipstick she's got on either, so.
She wears a few things in this movie that I'm like, why? Who chose this for you? Yeah.
Definitely not you. No. Why did your department do that?
Okay. Dear Christmas. So the synopsis is, Natalie has a hit podcast. Another reason why I picked this. Okay. Based on love. Ooh. But she isn't so expert at finding it herself until... I don't want to say his name yet. Until the male lead enters her life and shakes things up.
Oh, okay.
And then it says, not to mention his name. So I was like, is she shaking his name up?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
But we will find out what it means. So we open on a shot of the big city, and I think she lives in Chicago. Because at some point she's like, I'm just leaving Chicago. So I think. Okay. Somewhere back east. Oh, yes, that's the Midwest. Mm-hmm. Should not be the Midwest. Yeah. We're not going to go into that. Yeah. So it's like the big city. It's wintertime. We see like trains and stuff. And then we see Natalie, who is the main character. Yes. And she is in her booth recording her podcast, which is called Holiday Love. Okay. Of course.
Well, specifically Christmas holiday?
No,
or just, okay.
all of them.
Okay, so she's out there being like, "Hey, Halloween babes, here's how to get a man."
Spooky bitches.
Yeah,
like, I don't know.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Here's how to get your
she
true
makes
love.
this a weekly podcast
About holiday
about
shit?
holiday love, and I know there's holidays all year. I
yeah.
get that. But a weekly podcast?
Yeah, like 4 days ago, it was like National Christmas Card Day. You're talking about National Christmas Card Day?
No idea.
We're talking about that shit?
Like, I think during December, she did all of her episodes about Christmas stuff, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm like, are you doing, like, turkey love?
Yeah.
Or, like, why?
What?
I don't know.
Pass the cranberry sauce.
We're having mashed potatoes.
Ooh, the turkey looks great.
Thank you for loving me. Thank you for being there. We gotta move on from Bob's. I'm gonna sing that all day. Sorry, Tony, this part of the podcast is not for you.
Zach hates it too.
Are you serious?
Yes.
What's wrong with the men?
I don't know. It's fine. I'll just constantly be your Andy to your Ollie.
Thank you.
So we'll cut that out.
Maybe. We'll see. Maybe it'll make the cut. So she's in her studio recording her podcast, which I don't understand. And it's just kind of like a voiceover, and we're like panning through her studio, seeing like the Christmas decorations and like
she's gotta be getting
awards
like is she like a podcast for like a station? Okay,
yeah, she's like part of a podcast company.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Mm-hmm. So she has like all of these awards for her podcast because apparently she's like the number one podcast
that just
in
called
America.
me poor in like 6 different
right
ways.
I was like, all
I
right.
know there were awards for podcasts.
Yeah, but like I don't know, they're just like at one point her boss says that she was the number one podcast in America, and I'm like, why do they always have like, can't you just be like, you're so successful, why do they always have to be
like
most, you're the top person in, like, why?
Because that's how you be a boss bitch,
I guess, but like she doesn't.
I don't want to be a boss bitch. No. I want to live in a cabin in the middle of the woods with my husband forever, laying in grass, reading books, and that's it. I'm content with life like that.
Yeah.
Am I living that life? No.
I'm
content. I'm happy with my husband.
Microphone.
But like, I don't got.
You're not cottage core Alyssa out there.
I want to be cottage core Alyssa.
I know. You're working on it. Manifest that shit. But yeah, we see her like talking into her microphone, and there's the awards, and there's like Christmas cookies out, and blah blah blah. And she goes into talking about how, you know, we cut down the tree, and we put up lights, and we decorate cookies, and we do an ugly sweater party, and it's the perfect backdrop for us to fall in love. But is it really love, or do we just love the season? So she kind of goes back and forth about like, is it just the parties, or are you really happy, and like all of this stuff.
Okay.
And she says that next week they're going to have a live stream on Christmas Eve, and she wants some of the listeners to send in testimonies about their true love story and how they knew it was true love.
Okay.
So that she can talk about that.
Okay.
And then she ends her podcast episode, and her boss comes in holding like a cute little coffee with like a cinnamon stick sticking out of it and an envelope. And so she goes in, and they're just chatting and stuff, and she gives her the envelope, and Natalie opens it, and she's like, is this correct? Like, is this my bonus? Are you serious? And she's like, well, you're the top podcaster in all of America, and I want to keep you happy, and you are so great, and like all this stuff. And it was so she says, I just want to do what makes you happy, right? And Natalie turns around and is like, wait, anything? She's like, yeah. She picks up this red ginormous fucking Santa bag of presents, and it's like, well, I really need to wrap these presents. And for a second I was like, did your boss just come in here and hand you a ginormous check and kiss the ground you walk on, and you're going to ask her to wrap your Christmas presents for you because you're too busy?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Busy doing what?
Excuse me.
You have a podcast once a week. Like,
yeah. But she doesn't.
Oh,
they
okay.
wrap them together.
Oh, okay.
But at first I was like, fucking what? Okay. She also mentions that like their Christmas party is going on, and they're like missing out on Natalie, and she's not there, and Natalie's like, yeah, but I gotta get going home soon. I'm gonna like head out on the road soon. And so it shows them sitting down wrapping presents and stuff, and her boss, Penny, I don't think I said her name. No. Penny is like going through the bag of stuff, and she pulls out this apron that says Lake Tahoe Books. And she's like, oh, who's this for? And Natalie explains that her mom and dad just bought the store Lake Tahoe Books, and that they, you know, are super excited about it, so she got them that. So then Penny pulls out a baby onesie that's all Christmassy and has like a reindeer or some shit on it. And she's like, oh, who was this for? And Natalie says, that's for my sister. And Penny says, your sister's pretty small. And she's like, well, my sister's pregnant and she's due on the 24th on Christmas Eve. And so that's why I have a baby onesie. And then she pulls out an ugly sweater. And she's like, oh, I feel bad for whoever's getting this present. And Natalie's like, well, that's mine. And she's like, okay. But she explains that her parents have an ugly Christmas sweater contest every year. And she's like, well, you're going to win for sure. And Natalie talks about how she's so excited to go home because her parents' house is always like decked out for Christmas and like you could see their lights from space, I'm pretty sure. Okay. And the boss goes, all right, well, I'll look for them when I'm in space.
I hate this woman.
Yeah.
Penny?
This is how the whole movie goes.
Penny, I hate you.
They are trying so hard to be like quirky and relatable and it comes out so awkward. So awkward. And then she lastly pulls out a bottle of cologne and she was like, ooh, who'd you buy this for? Someone special? Mm-hmm. And Natalie explains that she got it for her brother-in-law and that it was actually like something from a sponsor, so she didn't buy it at all.
Oh, okay.
And Penny's like, well, dang it, I thought you were like giving it to someone that you were dating because I know that you don't have anyone here, so I was hoping you had someone back home. Uh-huh. And Natalie says that there's nobody.
Yet.
Yeah, I know, right? We all know.
We all know.
And then Penny's like, have you ever been in love before? And
Natalie, okay, Penny.
I know, right? It was like right into it. And then Natalie, okay, this part was what made me upset. Natalie goes, yeah, I just haven't found my true love. And then Penny says, so you don't believe in true love?
No, bitch.
That's not what I said.
That's not what I said.
At all. Okay.
Okay.
But she's like, no, I just haven't found the one for me. You know, maybe it's true love is right for other people, but it's not right for me, or, you know, that kind of a thing.
You haven't found your true love, Penny. Fuck off.
She has not, because then she bursts out saying that she just broke up with her boyfriend. And
lucky guy.
I know. And Natalie was like, well, maybe it wasn't true love and maybe it just wasn't right for you, but you should really go for Hank in HR because I think he's had his eye on you and like all this stuff. And Penny asks, what's the difference between love and true love? And Natalie says, don't you even listen to my podcast? And Penny says, no, I have a million other people to do that for me.
Okay.
Like, thank you, but also
thanks,
like,
boss, for not double checking my work. Next time I'm just going to be up there being like, so, tortillas and cheese, Pop-Tarts.
Quesadilla right there.
Yeah.
Just a shopping list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next, be like, and this is how I do my laundry. Step 1. Don't separate anything.
No,
because who
throw
has
it
time
all
for
the fuck
that?
in there. Towels, who cares?
Yep.
But then Natalie says that true love is when two people find each other and their worlds come together and they know that no matter how tough things are, they can get through it because there's no one else they'd rather be with and nowhere else they'd rather be.
Thanks, Hallmark.
I know.
Oh.
Lifetime.
Oh, Lifetime.
TM.
Oh,
okay.
My bad.
Look out.
Sorry.
Copyright. And then Penny's like, oh, I really should listen to your podcast. And then Natalie's like, oh, yeah, you should. Because I'm the expert.
Oh, my gosh.
And then Penny says, maybe this Christmas you will find your true love. And then Natalie says, oh, yeah, I can already hear my heart beating. What? Was it not?
Well, yeah.
Are you a zombie? Like, why beating?
What? And
why? There was so many other things.
Like racing, or I could already hear the...
fluttering, or like I can already feel the butterflies.
Yeah, something like that.
Something. I can already hear my heart beating. Why? So cool. So I think it's the next day, and we hear a voiceover of Natalie who is talking on the phone with her sis, and we know that it's her sis because she calls her sis.
Nobody ever has fucking called someone sis.
I think,
unironically.
Yeah.
Like,
no
one has ever done that.
No.
Unironically before.
No.
And if you have,
they do it like 6 times in this movie.
You're a liar.
It's always ironic, and you know it. But yeah, she's like, hey sis, I just can't wait to see you. Where are you? But my favorite is, she's like, I'm just leaving Chicago, hopping on the I-80. Why do they say shit like that?
I don't know.
Why would you need to tell your sister that?
Yeah, like you already fucking know.
Like, I'm taking the I-24 and then I'm going to take exit 365. Yeah. Like, why?
I was also just thinking, like, the only other... calling someone, like, sis or bro is the same exact way of being like, come on, I'm your big sister. Like,
yeah.
It's the same fucking... thing.
I gotta look out for my baby sis.
Yeah, like, shut up.
Yep.
Shut up. We can get the context clues later.
I don't think you can. I don't think you'll understand unless I say sis.
I guess.
And bro.
No, the better line would be like, yeah, well, mom and dad always loved me more than you. So that's the
like,
better way.
Slip it in that way.
Yeah.
What's funny is that, like, the filming and stuff is so much better than all of the low budget shit that we've watched. But, like, the script is just the same.
Just as
junk. Like, it's just as bad. And they just tell you things. They just like word vomit at you.
I feel like at this point they just have like a vision board of everything they want to throw in a Christmas movie, and they just like throw darts at it, and they're like, there we go.
They're like, here's the 10 actors we have.
Yep.
Here's the 3 storylines we have.
Yep.
Mix them up.
Yep.
Figure out something new. Like, literally.
If they're not a baker or a boss bitch, like, it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Is there a single dad in this movie?
I don't think there is.
Oh,
actually.
Okay.
Not a single dad.
They're getting creative.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we see a few shots of like mountain roads and country roads, and like all the while there's a voiceover of her talking to her sister, and she's like, well, where are you now? Nebraska? No, Iowa. And I'm like, hold on a second.
You're driving?
You are driving from Chicago to Lake fucking Tahoe, which is on the border of California and Nevada, for those who don't know. That is 2,000 miles and a 27-hour trip. I looked.
That's fucking bullshit. You fly. For someone who has that much money, you're flying.
The only way I rationalized it in my brain is that this takes place specifically in 2020. So maybe she didn't want to fly because of 2020 reasons.
Yeah.
That's a long-ass trip.
That is a long-ass
trip.
trip.
To be with your family for a week.
Yeah.
You'd have to take off 2 weeks, drive for 3 days, spend 5 days, drive. Like, why?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
That is a long time.
Yeah. My brother drove from here to Michigan, where he lives, and it took 3 days driving, 12 hours a day or whatever. Probably not 12, 8 hours a day.
No, thank you.
No. At one point, I think she says she drove 10 hours, but like, gross.
I know, we went to Mexico, and that took 16 hours one way. But we did it all in one sitting. Because, it was awful. We got up real early. We got there pretty late. So.
Gross.
Yep. Bought some really good side of the road cheese, though. It was really delicious.
You trusted side of the road cheese?
My dad did, and it was really yummy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we start seeing more like mountainous, lakey, like she's getting closer to, driving through the Rockies and stuff. And we hear a pop, and she's on the phone with her sister, and she's like, oh, I think my tire might have blown. I need to pull over and check it out.
Well, yeah, because you're driving that many fucking miles.
You should know.
Your car is like, stop!
Please. And then she pulls over, I guess. It like immediately goes from one phone call to the next. So she's like, I need to pull over and check it out. And then she's immediately telling her sister that roadside assistance is on its way, but it might take a little while, but she's almost there. She's almost home.
She can't change her own tire?
Apparently not.
I mean, if you don't have a spare, I get it. Okay, then then you can do it your fucking self.
Yeah. But yeah, her sister's like in the middle of being like, oh, I'm so excited for you to get here. And Natalie's phone dies.
Oh.
And
she doesn't have a car charger? Who is this adult woman?
I don't know. So we see her standing outside of this little shop and
conveniently pulled into a town. That's nice.
I know, right? Well, I think she's in Lake Tahoe.
She's just not there?
She's just not there. But it's like, it's big. There's a lot of Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, I would be like, hey, come get me while I have like card to come and like
mom, parents, people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
But anyway, okay.
So this cute little shop that's decorated for Christmas, and she's waiting for the tow truck to come, and hanging in the front window of the shop are these like red blown glass 3D heart ornaments. And she goes, you're not the only ones hanging around here. Got any plans for Christmas? No, me neither.
She's talking
to the hearts. Guess we're just a bunch of lonely hearts.
Oh my gosh!
Don't you talk to inanimate objects?
I do all the time. I apologize to my doors as I walk into them. I'm not looking at my light bulbs and being like, that's a great idea. Like,
you're just as bright as I am, I see. Yeah.
Cool. So I'm not finding my socks and being like, oh man, you're just as lost as I am.
That's what I say to my socks all the time. So then we see the tow truck pull up. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. We see the tow truck pull up, and this thing is decked out in Christmas shit. So there's like a little wreath on the grill that has lights, and there's like lights inside the windshield in the cab, and
who has time for that?
Hold on.
And how are you hooking that up?
Battery packs, my friend.
Yes, but like, who's got time?
Why do you not have a wreath on the front of your car? That is my question to you.
Because you make all my wreaths and I don't want them to get ruined.
That is fair. And there are even like those little antlers that you like put on your door on your car,
Those
make it look like a reindeer.
You mean, so he has a wreath and not like the reindeer nose instead?
That is, yes, that would have been a much smarter thing to do.
Yeah.
But He is not that clever.
Nope.
Oh, he's also like playing Christmas music and blah, 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 blah. And he shows up and gets out of his truck, and this like sexy, jazzy Christmas music is playing as he like slow motions out of the truck. And she's like, oh. He's not like in his heyday. Yes.
I gotta see what he looks like.
Yes, let me pull him up.
Please do.
He looks so haggard and tired. Like, he's a handsome guy.
He is a handsome guy.
But like everyone's like,
But he does look tired.
Yeah.
He just looks
He
tired.
looks like Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
From Wolverine.
Old Man Logan was still
Okay,
hot.
exactly. But, like, it's the same kind of like, buddy, you need a nap.
Yeah.
You know?
I could definitely see where they're trying to go with him, but like
the hometown
Yeah.
rugged boy.
yeah, the always coming around, the fixer-upper, the the jack-of-all-trades kind of guy, but like
You have no idea. Yeah.
okay.
Yep. So he steps out and he walks up and says, ho, ho, ho. And she says, ho, ho, hello. So that's how that starts. And she's like,
That's why I can't watch these movies.
I know.
I love puns, and awkwardness is great. I can't handle the awkward of a lot of these. It's awful.
No.
It's really, really bad.
So he asks what the problem is, and she's like, well, I'm late to go to my parents, and my phone is dead, and I'm freezing, and I have a flat tire, and like all this stuff.
Okay.
And he's like, okay, well, you can warm up in my truck. There's hot cocoa in there, and I have a charging cable, and I'm going to start fixing your tire.
Dude, okay.
I know, right?
All right. Number one elf running around here.
Oh, just give me a second.
Okay.
So she gets in the cab and she is like looking around, and there's like the lights everywhere, and there's Christmas music playing, and on the dashboard is like one of those little like cookie treat Christmas boxes, and so she pulls it off and like looks at it, which I'm like, don't touch his shit.
Yeah.
First of all,
he said you can have hot chocolate, not the cookies on the dashboard, bitch.
Yeah. And it says, to Mr. Christmas, thanks for the jump. So what? Anything?
His name?
Mr. Christmas. Just wait. Wait.
All right.
Just wait. So she gets the thermos out and she pours herself some cocoa, and she gets her phone.
I don't care how much somebody would be like, yeah, go right ahead. I'd be like, nah.
I'd be like, I'm just going to stand out here in the freezing cold.
It's okay.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
I was like, serial killer much?
Yeah.
No. I don't care how nice he looks.
You're going to drug me in that? No.
I'm not drinking your cocoa, sir. No. Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Still, at the other end, I'd just be so awkward to be like, oh, that's really nice of you, but I just would not be able to do that.
I'm fine. It's fine. I don't need it. I'm fine.
Just change my tire and let me go.
Please, dear God. But yeah, so she pours herself a cup of hot chocolate, and there's like even mini marshmallows and like little things that you can add in. So this guy is prepared.
Yep.
And once her phone is kind of plugged in, she gets another call from her sister, and she's like, yeah, I just had some car trouble, but I'm getting help from this gorgeous tow truck driver. And the sister's like, tell me more.
I mean, that is kind of something that,
I know, right?
Like, that's believable.
That makes sense.
So, yeah.
And we can see the sister on the other end of the phone sitting at the parents' house, and she has the most fake pregnancy beach ball belly I have ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
Like, it moves independently.
Oh, no.
Like, it was really, really bad.
They couldn't even use,
really
a pillow?
Bad. No. It was seriously like, I have a basketball in my shirt.
Oh, my gosh.
It was bad.
Okay.
But anyway, she tells the parents that Natalie had car trouble, but she's going to be on her way soon. And then we go back to Natalie and the tow guy, and she's like, wow, this is like the best hot cocoa I've ever had. And she's like, is it the cinnamon? And he's like, no, I have another secret ingredient.
Oh my gosh.
Like, date rape. She's like, oh, it's red pepper flakes. And he's like, yep, that's, that sounds terrible.
Oh, that sounds awful.
But he says that's his secret ingredient. She's like, well, it's not so secret because I could taste it.
Can you get the fuck out of my truck, bitch?
Do you want love or not?
Yeah.
Like, shut up.
You cynical bitch. Get out of here.
Yeah. And then she's like, you look familiar. Do I know you? And he's like, I think I just have one of those faces.
Are you sure this isn't actually a Christmas horror movie that we're talking about right now?
I mean, maybe I misled you.
Okay.
But no, it's not. But then she thanks him, and then he's like, you're welcome, Natalie Morgan.
Are you sure? Are you lying to me? This has to be, like... be a stalker film or something, right?
No.
Oh,
so she's like, wait, how did you know my name? And he was like, it's on your AAA account.
Okay, well, I can believe that.
Oh, okay.
But nobody has ever like, hello, Natalie Morgan. Hello. Like,
I know, right?
You're very welcome. Like, that would be, I work at a hotel. That would be straight up me being like, thank you, John Smith, for staying with us.
Like, what happened?
Yeah. No, it's thank you, Mr. Smith. Have a good day. Like, that's
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, if he was like, "You're welcome, Miss Morgan."
Yeah.
Like, that would be a little less
That'd be
creepy.
so less creepy.
Then, you're welcome.
Because then
Natalie
she could
Morgan.
still have the, how do you know my last name kind of thing. Like,
yeah. But okay, this is just only going to get worse in the next 2 sentences. So he says, "See you tomorrow." And she goes, "You seem pretty sure about that." And he goes, "Yeah, pretty sure." And walks away.
You're lying.
I swear this is not a serial killer movie. I swear this is a romance movie, I swear.
Romance for who? Is this a dark romance?
No.
Oh my gosh.
It's just all, maybe you can spin anything, the sound, any
Very
which
true.
way. So that's what's
Very
happening.
true. I mean, I love me some enemies to lovers and stuff, but like, what, is he like a rival podcaster as well? Am I trying to...
Like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Years style. I love that movie. So he walks away and he gets in his truck. And as he drives away, we see the company logo on the side of his truck that says Mr. Christmas Towing.
Okay. So his name is Christmas?
You'll see.
Okay.
You'll see. So Natalie pulls up to her parents' house, which is, oh my God, so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, picture this ginormous, like, stone beautiful house that's, like, right on the edge of a lake type house.
Okay.
And that's this house.
Oh.
And they have 2 huge, like, had to be at least 10-foot tall white Christmas trees on either side of the front door.
Shit damn, so they're rich. Okay.
Yes. And they just have, like, these beautiful big double doors and, like, all this stuff.
If you have double doors, you've made it.
Yeah.
Like,
They also have sconces, like, on either side of their entryway that are, like, probably a few feet high. They're so big.
Oh.
Like, hundreds of
gorgeous.
dollars.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They had, like, 3 little, like, candle light type things inside. They were so pretty. You would have died at this
I'm gonna have
house.
to go watch just that part
Just
of the
that
movie.
part, yeah. I'll find pictures.
Cool.
But she walks in and her parents come in and they greet her all excited and stuff. She's like, "I just drove past the house. Where are the lights? Where is the inflatable Santa? Where the fuck is everything?" And then she's like, "Where's our tree? We don't even have a Christmas tree? Like, what is happening?" And they explain that they've been so busy since they bought the bookstore that they haven't done anything, but someone's coming to put up the lights tomorrow. And she goes in and greets her little sister and she says, "Oh, there's my little baby sister with the baby." Because she has to. So we know who she is.
Yep. No, because obviously we didn't see her as in a cutaway,
Talking on the phone.
and or assuming that the only pregnant person in the room is going to be her sister. Context clues matter.
Yeah.
And Hallmark
Hey,
movies
sis.
and Lifetime movies don't get that.
No. So she goes in and talks to her sister and she like asks how her sister's doing and she's like, "Oh no, I need to hear more about this gorgeous tow truck driver and all this stuff." And she's like,
You get
"Well,
to see the sister's husband?
yeah,
Okay.
eventually."
I was like, because I hate those movies where they're like, "Yeah, I've got a husband, he's just not here."
They
Like,
kind of do that thing for a little while.
Okay.
You'll see. But yeah, she's like, "Tell me more about this tow truck driver." And Natalie says, "Well, he had some great hot cocoa." And that's all she says. And then Natalie asks where Billy, her sister's husband, is. And she's like, "Oh, he had a big audit in Chicago, but he knows he needs to get back here quick because this baby's coming."
did he drive there too? Like,
Probably.
You think they could have carpooled back? Like,
Probably.
You know?
So then we see them all sitting down to eat dinner, and Natalie asks them how the bookstore's going, and, you know, they're like, "Oh, Jimmy Fallon came in the other day for a book signing, and everything's great. Best investment we ever made." And then Natalie's like, "Well, if you're so busy with everything at the bookstore, like, I can help with decorating and stuff back here, whatever you need." And they're like, "Yeah, we need to cut down the tree and decorate the tree, and we're putting together these gift baskets, and they're all gonna have your book in them, so you need to come sign all of them," and, like, all of this garbage.
She wrote a book too?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was like, "You have to come down to the bookshop and sign your books and just see you're right in the front window," and like all this stuff. Then they ask about how her podcast is going and some of the episodes that she did and stuff. And it comes up that she went to the wedding of someone that she did a podcast about. And they're like, "Oh, did you bring a date?" And she's like, "Well, I brought my boss Penny." And they were like, "Oh. Okay." And she was like, "I know you're worried, but I'm happy. Like,
Maybe
everything's
she
fine."
likes Penny.
I
Maybe
know.
that's
What? Like, in the moment, I was like, so what?
Yeah.
If she brought Penny.
Well,
Parents.
I would only be like, oh, okay, if they were like, "Well, I brought my boss."
Well, I mean, she did say my boss Penny.
Yeah, but like,
still,
that's like, I would be like, "Oh, okay, I get it. You're not together."
Yeah,
Okay.
true.
Like, I would assume that kind of a thing. If you were like, "Well, I brought Penny," I'd be like, "Oh, Penny?
Penny.
Who's Penny?" You know, like,
You're a good parent.
oh,
her sister asks what this week's episode is going to be about, and she says that it's going to be true love at Christmas. And the dad goes into like, oh, the first time I saw your mother, I saw a shooting star, and we were both at music camp, and I was sitting over here playing this instrument, and she was over there first oboe.
You telling me this one time at band camp?
Yes. Yeah, I am. I specifically said music camp, okay? I was trying to avoid that. But so he says, she was over there, the first oboe. She goes, I was the only oboe. And then he says, you're the only oboe for me. And he saw a shooting star and a galaxy of possibilities in front of him. And then he adds, your mother was the brightest star. We get it, Dad.
Okay, yeah.
We get it.
You're in love. We
appreciate
it.
Yeah.
Shove it down my throat even further, Dad.
Yeah.
Gosh.
They do a lot of that, like, oh, honey, like, I just love you. Like, those little moments.
I do love when they show parents, like, still, like, in love with each other in movies, because there's so many movies now where, like, the parents are just, or they're either divorced, they hate each other, or it's just snarky comments all the time. And, like, I get, like, jokey comments. Jokey comments are totally different.
Yes.
Yeah, like, totally different. I flip off Zach maybe 4 times a day, you know, like, but you gotta show him in love. Like, that's what I need in life is love.
It was just a little too much. Yeah. Like, it was like, oh,
just over.
This is the story of true love. Great. Mm-hmm. Okay, we get it. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Oh, also, I noted that the father has been in all kinds of stuff. Like, I wasn't like, oh, it's this guy from this movie, but I know his face. Okay. And he's been acting forever, and he did terrible in this movie. Oh. So I don't know if he's just, like, getting too old, or
he just didn't care.
Know. Yeah, maybe both.
Yeah.
But he was so, like, stiff and awkward. Then the scene changes, and we see Natalie and Emma, who are in her old bedroom, and she's, like, unpacking her suitcase and stuff. And there are boxes all over the place that are labeled with, like, Natalie's school shit. You know, like, all of her old stuff from when she lived at home. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, you're just now boxing up her shit? Yeah. She's a 40-something-year-old woman? Yeah. And you've left her room put together? Yeah. Or, like, why?
That's weird.
Because now there's, like, a treadmill, and, you know, they're, like, turning it into something.
The second I moved out, like, no, I took everything with me when I moved out. Like, my dad was like, get out.
Please, leave. So Natalie's, like, unpacking, and Emma starts going through one of her boxes, and she says that she found Natalie's first grade diary. Ooh. And Natalie's like, you can't read that. Like, that's my diary. Get out of there. And, like, in the middle of all of this, her iPad dings, and Natalie gets all excited because she got her first video testimonial from a listener. And there were a few of these, and they were not, like, these actors were especially not great. And the story was something about them being long distance, and he, like, showed up at the airport with, like, a sign that was super cute, and that's how she knew it was true love. I don't remember the details, because I was just like, okay. And Emma is like, oh, let me tell you my story with when I met Billy, and you can use it for your podcast. He was doing my taxes because he's a tax guy. He asked if I was single, and Natalie's like, well, he has to, because he has to ask you if you're single or married or whatever. He's like, that's his job. And she was like, yeah, you can use our story on the podcast if you want to. And Natalie's like, thanks. Great. And then Emma opens the diary, and we see the name Kevin Curtis written in crayon, and there's, like, a heart around it. And then the next page has his name all crossed out. And, you know, there's, like, a few different crushes that they go through. And she's like, I don't even remember who that guy was. Like, okay. And she says that she has a diary for each one of her grades. She just has to, like, figure out where they all are, and it'll be so fun to go through.
Fuck, I had one diary for, like, my entire life.
I could not keep a diary.
None of them are written in. Like, there's nothing in there. Like,
unless it was, like, an assignment for school. And even then I was like, today I read a book. Yep. That was it.
Yep. Dear journal. And then 3 pages later. Yeah. I haven't written in you in 7 months. Like,
it's been 3 years. Let me update you on my life.
Oh my gosh. No, I keep everything in my head just so I can forget it. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. And then it kind of switches to another scene where it's later in the night, and Natalie is going through her boxes, like, sitting in her pajamas, and she pulls out, like, her old flute, and she plays a couple notes, and she finds, like, and then she pulls the first grade diary back out, and she finds a page that's kind of like an about me type page, and she goes, Natalie Morgan, favorite holiday? Christmas. Favorite song? Up on the Housetop. And then she, like, looks up, like, I remember that song, and starts humming it. As if we don't fucking know what Up on the Housetop is. She was like, like, as she's, like, flipping through her diary, humming merrily.
Y'all can't see my face right now, but what?
It's very appropriate to how you're feeling, I'm sure. Because...
Oh my gosh.
What?
Why?
I don't know.
We all know what that song is.
I know. Also, if that's your favorite Christmas song...
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
I know you're 6.
Yeah.
But still.
No, it feels like Christmas from Muppets Christmas Carol, and that is the best Christmas song of all fucking time. I'll fight anyone.
That is fair. That is fair. And then it kind of transitions to her, like, asleep in bed the next morning. And she's woken up to a very, like, light knocking sound. And she's kind of, like, gets up and is like, what the fuck is that? What is happening? Mm-hmm. And she stands up and, like, opens the window. And lo and behold, but who does she see outside her window?
Mr. Christmas.
Mr. Christmas, who was putting up Christmas lights outside.
And he was tapping on her window?
No, he was hammering, quote unquote hammering, but it was seriously like it was the quiet. It wasn't even like hammer. It was like so quiet.
Okay.
I know. I was like,
he's just a gentle. Right. He's just a gentle banger, I guess.
Madam,
gotta have at least one.
Okay. So he's like, I told you I'd be seeing you today. And then she is like, oh, you're the one putting up lights. That makes sense. Okay. And then he's like, nice pajamas. And she's like, oh, okay. And she goes to close the curtain, but it's one of those like single panel, like small curtains. And so it just like swings to the other side. And she's like, and like fights with it for a minute.
This is her room. And she doesn't realize that it's a single panel.
I think she just like panicked because she was in her pajamas. But they're like full body Christmas pajamas.
I don't understand why people like get weirded out by that. I'd be like, thanks, they're comfy.
Yeah.
Like
they got candy canes on them.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know.
I just love that they make like Christmas pajamas with the little like the shirt pocket. Mm-hmm. Like what the fuck am I putting in there? Are you
putting a pen protector in there?
Yeah, I'm not putting shit in there. No. Like why
dumping
is it there?
My chapstick in there? Like I don't know.
Give me pants pockets, thank you. Like
please. And then we see her go down to the kitchen and she's like dressed and ready for the day. And she's like, why is Mr. Christmas putting up the lights? And her mom was like, well, it's his job. And she was like, I thought he was a tow truck driver. And her mom was like, well, he's got lots of jobs around town. Like you said, jack of all trades. And the mom is like, oh yeah, I was just about to take him this coffee, which she so conveniently has a travel cup with a lid. Like a gas station style travel mug. Yeah. So she pours him a coffee, and then her dad brings in these Christmas donuts, and Natalie's like, oh, I'll take him out to him. I'm like, okay. So she walks out, and this is another one of those really awkward lines where it would have been fine, and then it wasn't. Mm-hmm. So Natalie walks out, and he is putting up the Christmas lights and stuff, and he's like adding garland and stuff. And she's like, hey, I brought you a coffee and a donut. And she like sets them on his ladder. And he goes, thanks. I can't wait to try those. Why are you talking? And he probably delivered it like even worse than I just did. He was just like, I can't wait to try those. Thanks.
That's so weird. People don't talk like that.
No.
Like, I would just be like, oh, thanks. Yeah. Appreciate it.
That sounds great.
Yeah, cool.
Can't wait to try those. I can't wait to taste those with my mouth. Like, why? Okay.
Only a single sip and single bite. That's
it. Just the taste.
Yep.
Just the tip.
There's 2.
Got him. And then he asks Natalie if she can grab the end of the extension cord that's like on the other side of the wall so he can plug in the lights. And so she walks over and she's like, hey, thanks for helping me out again last night, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, you really don't remember me, do you? And she's like, should I? And he's like, well, we were in 8th grade band together. And so she's like, oh, Will. And he's like, nope, strike 1. So she's like, Luke? And he's like, nope, strike 2. Johnny. Strike 3, you're out. And he's being all cute. Uh-huh. And she hands over the extension cord. And he goes, hi, my name is Chris Massey. Chris Massey? Chris Massey. Why did they do this?
Why do they do that?
Why? No. I wouldn't have even thought about it if it hadn't have been for the context of the stupid fucking movie. So his name is Chris Massey.
I'd have been like 1,000% being like, yeah, it's Alan Christmas.
Yeah.
My name is Christmas. I would be okay with that, not
Chris Massey.
Yep.
Chris Massey. It's Christmassy. I hate it.
I hate that.
Yeah. So she's like, oh, I remember you were one of the trumpets that sat in the back of the class. And she remembers him moving away after 8th grade. And she's like, we didn't hang out a lot. And he's like, no, I wasn't one of the cool kids. Which, like...
Me either, dude, but what else?
Okay, yeah.
Like...
And he climbs down off of the ladder and turns to her and goes, we don't have a connection. And she was like, what? And he holds up the lights.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And he's like, well, you got to grab the extension cord. Like, can you help me look for the other end of this so that we can plug them in, and they start looking through these bushes. And Natalie, like, leans over and finds the other end, but as she stands up, she stumbles backwards, and he catches her before she falls. Because of course.
Yeah.
And he says, "Now we're connected," as he plugs in the lights.
Motherfucker.
And then, just as, you know, she's dipped in this romantic situation, her mom and dad walk out, and so he, like, stands her up real quick, and...
You're 40!
I know! Relax! You're not 14.
Yeah,
it's
you're
okay.
not 14.
Yeah. But the mom and dad walk out, and they're like, "Hey, we're headed to the bookstore. You should come on over when you're done hanging the lights." And Natalie's like, "He's hanging the lights, not me. Like, what do you mean?" And he takes one of those giant wheels of lights and, like, slams it into her hands. Like, "Here you go. Now you are." Okay, mister, I just fucking met you, kind of.
Also, we're paying you?
Yeah.
To do this? Like...
Alright.
I'm not normally the type to be like, it's their job, but, like...
Literally, it's your job.
It's your job. Yeah. Like, we paid you to do this. Like, if I offered, that'd be different, but I didn't. I said, "Here, I brought you coffee and a donut." I brought you
the end of the extension cord that you asked for, but okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So he throws that into her hands. And right before the parents walk away, the dad is like, "This is looking super nice. It's looking very Chris Massey. See what I did there?" Yes, Dad. Yes, we did.
These movies are gonna give me a fucking brain aneurysm.
Oh, you have no idea. So there's like this montage of them putting all of these decorations outside, and you know,
if there's not a montage, then it's not a Christmas
there's
movie.
Like 3 montages, so don't you worry. This, like I said, this house, there's gotta be thousands of dollars worth of decorations outside.
Shit,
it is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like goals. So she asks Chris where he moved to when he moved away, and he says that he went back to Boston. And she's like, "I went to college at Boston University." And he goes, "I went to college at Boston College." And she's like, "And I thought this was going so well." Because they're rivals, I guess. I don't know.
Wait, so he was from Boston?
No.
And okay.
Well, I think he just says, like, "I moved, like, back east to Boston," kind of a thing.
Okay.
So they stand back to admire their job, and she's like, "Well, no offense to my parents, but we're pretty good at this." And he goes, "Well, I am Mr. Christmas." Yeah.
Stop trying to make fetch happen, okay? It's not gonna happen. Like...
That's the whole... I'm on page 4 of 10.
Oh my god.
10? I took 10 pages of notes? No fucking way. Oh, jeez. I'm so sorry.
You were just a surprise. That's amazing.
I thought I had like 8. Okay. We see Natalie walking past some shops, and she goes up to the bookshop and sees a life-size cardboard cutout standee of herself in the window.
That's weird.
And in front of the front door.
That's weird.
Yes, it is. And so she walks in and she's like, "When you said I was in the display window, I thought you meant my books, not me." And her mom says something about helping Chris with the lights, and she's like, "Did you know we were in band together? That's crazy." And her mom goes, "Was he a boyfriend?" And she goes, "Mom, no." Like that energy. Like,
I'm 40.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. The whole time I think they're playing into the whole, like, high school love feeling, though, and it's really obnoxious.
8th grade is not high school.
I know, but, you know.
But yeah.
So, the mom walks off to help a customer, and the dad is, like, putting together those gift baskets, and he says that she needs to come over here and sign all those books. And she notices that he's adding in some of those same red heart ornaments that we saw before.
Okay.
And she's like, "Oh, I saw those. I've seen them everywhere. Like, what is this about?" And he says they were made to thank the healthcare workers and the first responders. Which I was like, that's nice. Okay, sure.
And she was over here like, "You fucking lonely hearts."
Yeah, I know, right? And then he asks her if she'll take one of the gift baskets down the street. And so she takes it, and she's walking down, and she sees a bunch more of the heart ornaments on display in the window. And she walks up to this little cafe and sees a sign that says they are closed. It's like, "Sorry, we're out for blah, 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 blah." So she proceeds to try the door, and it's unlocked. So she goes in.
Okay.
No. She calls out to see if anybody's there, but no one answers. And she gets another ding on her iPad. And so she pulls it out to watch her new video. And this one's like, they were both running a marathon, and they were getting their best time. But then she got, like, a Charlie horse, and so she had to stop, and she told him to go on without her, but he carried her the rest of the way, and they got their worst time ever, but it was true love.
It's kind of cute, but also not.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's just too much.
10 out of 10 didn't happen.
Yeah, I know. And she, like, closes out the video, and she's sitting there for a minute, and she gets a video call from Penny. And she's like, I'm just checking in. How are things going? And she's like, well, I'm really glad that I came home for the holidays.
Who's, like, legit doing video calls?
I don't know.
Like, it's only, you're only doing video calls if you're like, hey, here's the grandkids. Say hi, like.
And not just like, hey, I'm checking in on you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So yeah, she says, I'm really glad I came home for the holidays. And Penny goes, oh, really? Who is he? Like, just immediately into who is he.
Okay, Penny.
Yeah.
Maybe it's you, Penny.
Right?
Maybe it's you.
And Natalie's like, there isn't a guy. And then she's like, okay, well, there's this guy that I ran into that I went to school with, but like, there's nothing there. There's nothing. And she's like, he keeps showing up places that I didn't expect him. And Penny says, romantic. And then Natalie goes, random. And then Penny says, destiny. And then Natalie says, distraction. Like, she's trying so hard to not...
Wait, you were the one who was like, ho, ho, hello.
Right? Okay.
Like...
And then they laugh for a second. And Penny goes, so what do you want? And Natalie's like, you called me. And she's like, oh, right. Talk to you later. And then she hangs up. That was it.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. How is this woman in charge of the
she
best...
She owns a company.
Yeah, how?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So next we see this big TV mounted on the wall that says, sing along with Mr. Christmas. Okay. And Chris walks into view holding a guitar. Because of fucking course he does.
Because of course, yeah.
And it like pans out a little bit and we can see that like Natalie is sitting like in the next room at one of the cafe tables and he's in kind of like a different section, but there's not like a door, there's just a doorway.
Wait, the cafe that's closed?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep. So she's sitting there like writing and trying to get some work done and he starts kind of like strumming and plucking like he's tuning and Natalie's kind of like, what the fuck? Because she can't see him because he's like behind a wall. And so she's like, what is happening? And he starts playing music and then
does he sing?
He sings. And what song do you think he sings?
Is it Up on the Roof?
It's Up on the Rooftop.
Oh my god.
Because of course it is.
Because of course it is.
And it is so bad. Like, not bad. It's good singing, but it's so produced and like you can just tell that it's not him and the lip syncing is terrible. And Natalie, like, looks around, and he, like, comes through the doorway singing it at her, and she's kind of like...
How did you know I was here?
Right? Like, she didn't say a word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking
I don't know.
psychopath. Are we sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure
no, I'm
this
sure.
isn't...
Yeah. Unless there's a second one. We'll see.
Where everything just goes really dark really fast.
Chris goes over after he stops singing and he's like, so are you following me or am I following you? She says that. And he's like, well, I was here for a reason. Like, what are you doing here?
Oh, door was unlocked and I came inside. Like,
that's literally what she says. She was like, I was bringing over this gift basket. And he says that he's doing a sing-along, and so the owner let him go into practice and, like, get things all set up.
Oh, maybe that's why the door was unlocked.
Yeah,
okay.
That is.
Oh, okay.
And then he points at the gift basket, and he's like, oh, so what's in that? And she, like, pulls out her book, and she's like, well, I am. And he says, you must get tired of standing in that bookstore window all day. I'm telling you, this whole thing it should have just been the script that I'm reading off of, because it's just the lines that are terrible. And she's like, yeah, that was my dad's idea, ha ha ha. And then he goes, I should go pick one up. The book, not a cutout. Thanks, because I was concerned that you were like, what?
Could go steal a fucking cutout.
And then he says that, like, his sister listens to her podcast and he's listened to a few episodes and it's really good and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I'm live streaming on Christmas Eve, so I need to get some work done, so I should go. And he's like, yeah, me too. And then they just kind of like stand there for a minute looking at each other. And then it cuts to them sitting at the cafe table and he's like drinking a beer and she's having a wine. And so they didn't go get work done. And they're like talking about their lives and stuff. And it turns out they have all of this stuff in common.
Okay, yeah.
So he was a Marine. And so he was traveling all over the world for that. And she was writing for a company that sent her all over the world. And he was like, so after I got in the Marines, I went to Japan in 98. And she was like, I was there in 99. And then I went to Australia. I was in Australia. Like, all of this stupid, like, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Coinkydinks.
Yeah. And he says that the last place, like his last big travel plan, he was going to go to Spain for this big celebration day that I wasn't paying attention to. And he was like, I was gonna go, but then I didn't end up going. And she was like, I was at that celebration. Like, that's nuts. And then she asks why he didn't go, and he says that his brother unexpectedly died, and he had to come back to help his sister-in-law who has 2 kids, and he wanted to be an uncle to them, and blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, did your sister-in-law ever remarry? And he says, no, she doesn't want to settle for unless it's true love. And finding true love is like finding a unicorn. So impossible?
Impossible, yeah. So
It doesn't exist? Okay. And then Chris asks if she's dating anyone, and she says no. Are you dating anyone? And he was like, I was, but every time I was with her, it just felt like I was in the wrong place.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's like, it wasn't true love. And then she's like, have you ever seen a unicorn before? Not yet, but I'm hopeful. And like, it just goes back and forth and does all this garbage. And then she's like, what are you doing right now? And he's like,
talking to
sitting
you.
here.
Yeah.
What do you mean? And then she was like, do you have your truck with you? And he's like, yeah. And she asks if he wants to go to the forest with her and cut down a pine tree and take it to her parents' house because they need to cut down a Christmas tree. I was like, that's a big favor.
Right?
Okay.
Are you paying me?
Right?
Like,
that's, yeah.
You can at least pay for the gas? Yeah.
But he agrees, of course. And so it shows them out in this like wooded area. And Natalie goes, so what's the story with your name? And he's like, well, Christopher is a family name. He's like, I don't think my parents really thought it through when they named me, but everyone in high school, like, Christopher got shortened to Chris, and Massey got shortened to Mass, and everybody called me Christmas. And then he goes, well, what about your name? And she says, well, Natalie is because my parents love Christmas. I don't know if you knew this. I did not know, but Natalie literally means Christmas. Like, it's like a derivative of like nativity, and like Jesus's birthday is what it means. No idea.
No one knows that. No one has ever known that in their life.
Except for Tony, but he knows everything. So that's fair.
This is true. This is true.
But yeah, he was like, yeah, obviously. I was like, no one knows that. So Natalie is because her parents love Christmas. So as they're walking, Chris gets a call from his 16-year-old niece who's been having boy trouble.
That's just weird shit, real quick, to just be like, yeah, why did your parents name you that?
I know, right? It would be different if he had like a unique name. Be like, oh, what's the story behind that?
Yeah.
But Chris Massey?
Yeah.
Like, my grandpa's name was Christopher. And my last name is Massey.
Yep.
Like, it was really weird.
Christopher's actually fairly common name.
A very common name.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what you want. Like,
yeah, it was weird.
Ugh.
And like, when she said that her last name was Morgan, she was like, it comes from the Scottish Morgenstein, but we dropped the Steen. Like, I don't know. It was just like, I don't need to know.
I don't care.
Yeah. It was dumb.
Okay, sorry.
It just seemed very like, normal people don't have these conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets a phone call and he tells her that his niece is having boy trouble. And so he answers and he's like, hey, I have a love expert with me right now. Natalie, meet whoever. And he like hands over the phone and she's like, no. Like, no, what? And she is like, Kate, if I'm going to talk to your niece, you have to go find my parents the perfect Christmas tree.
That seems fair.
I know, right?
Yeah,
and
that's
so
fair.
He's like walking around like mouthing like, do you want this one? And she's like, no, bigger, and like that kind of stuff. And he walked, like, they point out a few trees, and then he walks up to this one that is like literally like 15 feet tall. Like, it's huge. And he was like, I think it's this one. And she walks up talking on the phone, and she goes, finding love is like finding the perfect Christmas tree. You have to let it find you, but when it happens, you'll know. What? Is a Christmas tree gonna walk into my house and be like, I'm your tree?
Yeah. Like,
no. What a weird analogy that's is.
That's also like, she's talking to a teenager, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're a teenager. Just date people. Yeah. Get over it.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Don't date people.
Yeah.
Really.
Don't date people. Don't date people seriously.
Go to dances, live your life, have fun, don't have sex.
Yep.
Bye.
Like, it drives me crazy. I mean, I get it. I was a teenager. I get it. You think you're in love.
Yeah.
And not. It's not love. You're fine.
But then, yeah, like, so she's, like, saying this, and she's like, but when it happens, you'll know. And they just kind of, like, stare and smile at each other for a minute before the scene goes to the next scene. Yeah. And then it cuts to them pulling up to her parents' house with the tree in the back. And he's like, thanks again for talking to my niece and, like, all this stuff. She was like, oh, I was like her when I was younger. I fell in love with all these guys, and I snuck out, and I did all the teenagery things and whatever. And they carry the tree inside, and the sister sees Mr. Hottie Pants, and she's like, oh, like mouthing, and Natalie's like mouthing back like, shut the fuck up. And he's like setting up the tree, and he's like, I can see and hear you, right? Like, I'm right here. That was pretty funny. But she's like, oh, hi, Chris.
I feel like they should just let some actors just like here's the premise of where we're trying to go with the scene.
Make it
just talk.
Just go with it.
You know, because I'm sure you could 1000% just flirt better as natural humans.
Than reading a script.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Emma is like, well, hi there, Chris. Are you going to give my sister a gift this Christmas? And Natalie's like, get out of here. And so he's like, well, I gotta go, but I'll see you tomorrow. And she says, you seem pretty sure of that. And he says, yeah, pretty sure. And he leaves. Yeah. And then after he walks away, there's like a close-up of one of the doors that's just off of the living room where Natalie is. And Emma was standing, like, hiding behind the door, but her bump was, like, sticking out from the door frame. And so she's like, Emma, get out here.
I feel like there is some of this that I would probably really enjoy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not terrible, but also, like, stab me in the face.
Yeah.
And so she was like, that was Chris Massey?
That's kind of funny.
I know, right? And then the sister says, well, ho, ho, hello. And Natalie's like, that's what I said. And then it cuts to Emma and Natalie, who are decorating the Christmas tree. And Emma is still talking about how hot Chris is and all this stuff. And Natalie's like, he's just an old friend. And Emma says, well, maybe that old friendship should be rekindled into something new. Something borrowed, something blue.
Okay.
And then Natalie's like, okay, well, when is Billy coming back? Like, what? Let's change the subject.
Yeah.
Emma's like, not nearly soon enough because I miss him. And, like, just the way they talk about him, I'm like, is he cheating?
Yeah.
Is he not going to make it home for the baby?
Yeah.
Like, what is the setup here?
Yeah.
Because every time they bring it up, she's like, oh, I wish he would hurry. I just miss him so much. He's been gone so long. And, like, all this stuff. And so I'm like, what is the setup?
What's
What is
happening?
happening? Yeah. And then Emma goes back into how she didn't tell Natalie the next part of her true love story.
Oh.
And that Billy was doing an audit for her, and they met up at her favorite cafe and had this amazing lunch, and she didn't know it, but he was already thinking of filing jointly the next year with her, even with the marriage penalty, because that's how much he loved her. Yeah. And she goes, he was willing to do that for me. You can use that if you want. And Natalie goes, on my podcast about true love, which, like, first of all, yes, I get that. We're having the same exact vibe as she is. But you don't say that to your sister.
No.
Like, rude.
You're just like, oh, yeah, well.
That's so, maybe.
Yeah,
we'll
I'd be
see.
like, well, I'm, a lot of fans listen in, so we'll see. I can't be like, so my sister sent me this one. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I'd be like, oh, well, I'm trying to keep it just for the fans. Like, that.
Yeah. But she was just kind of like, on my podcast about true love stories? Never.
Yeah.
So the mom and dad walk in and they, like, compliment the tree, and the mom gets out another glass heart ornament and asks Natalie to add that on there.
I have, like, a 6-foot tall tree. I've got, like, 12 ornaments on that thing. I got exhausted. It's pre-lit, and I'm, like...
That's pretty.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But, like, I could not even imagine putting real lights around a 15-foot tall... And then add
real
ornaments.
Christmas tree.
And, like...
The needles.
Yeah, no.
Oh, my Lord.
I can't.
No.
I'm exhausted thinking about it.
Yes. Goals, but, like, also...
Yeah.
Ugh.
No.
So she hangs up the heart, and Natalie makes another comment about how she keeps seeing these hearts everywhere. So you know that's going to be a thing. And then we see Natalie sitting on her bed looking through one of her other old diaries, and there's, like, crush names on each page because she's a whore. And... she gets a ding for another love testimony video, and this one is actually the cutest. Okay. Like, it was good, the acting was good, I really loved this story. So there's this couple who are telling their story over, like, FaceTime, and they're like side by side recording on their own separate videos. And they say that they met up at this Christmas party, and she gave him her number, but he lost it the next day, and he was like, well, I was also deployed the next day, so that's why I lost it. But the next year they met up at the same Christmas party, and they were able to spend a couple weeks together. And so they've been long distance dating because he's deployed. And she says this year will be their 1-year anniversary, but she's sad because they won't be able to spend it together. And then her doorbell rings, and so she gets up to check it. And he goes, what she doesn't know is that this year's Christmas party is actually going to be our engagement party. Yeah, which was cute.
Oh.
And the girl comes back, and she has an envelope, and she's like, did you send me a present? And so she opens it, and it's a flight confirmation that he's coming home for Christmas. I know, and she, like, genuinely is like, what is this? And, like, starts getting all teary-eyed and, like, choked up, and I was like, oh! oh, it was really cute.
How did he time that?
I don't know. That's my only thing is I was like, okay. But it was really,
I mean, she had to walk away from the screen so that he could say that. But, like, still, it's cute. That's cute. That's cute.
Yeah, Natalie's like, oh. But yeah, that part I was like, okay, that's really cute. So we cut to the next day, and we are shown the outside of the house, where there is now a third huge white Christmas tree in front of the doorway.
Who's magically bringing this shit over?
I don't know. They just keep adding Christmas trees.
Okay.
Yeah. And we see Emma and Natalie in the kitchen, and they're wearing their ugly Christmas sweaters. And Emma hangs up the phone and says that Billy's flight was delayed, and she's like all annoyed. And there's another thing that I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen? And then Natalie's like, oh, he's gonna miss the ugly sweater party. And Emma like hugs her belly, and she's like, I hope that's all he misses. Like, meh.
Yeah.
Which that would suck.
I mean, I get it. You're like about to pop.
Yeah.
You have every right to
that
be like,
beach
where
ball
is
is
he?
coming out
like,
soon.
yeah.
And then the dad comes in and he's like, when is the food getting here? It should be here by now. And the mom says that they had a little fire to put out, but they should be here any time. And then we hear a siren outside. And they're all kind of, well, Natalie's like, what the fuck is that? And the mom says, hey, Natalie, will you go let them in? And she's like, what? And so she goes to the door. Oh, no, the mom says that they got the firehouse to cater the party because they know how to make some good fried chicken, I guess.
What firehouse is like, yeah, we're going to cater your fucking party?
I don't know.
So it isn't a town of like 20 people. Like,
yeah. I think that's kind of what the vibe is, but I don't know. But she opens the door and Chris is standing there in a volunteer fireman outfit.
Okay.
Because, I know, right? I mean, kind of, though.
I don't know what that noise was, but...
Okay. But yeah, so it was kind of... But he just had one pan of fried chicken. Like one of those like foil oven pans. I was like, how many people come to your party? If you're having it catered, but also you only need one pan.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's weird. It's like, it's just a small family get together.
Just
but we got the fucking fire department to do it for us. Yeah. I would be like, what?
Yeah, it was
acid-fused trip that we're on right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's called Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah. So the mom takes the food. And she's like, Natalie, could you get started on the Christmas drinks? The guests are going to be here soon.
Oh, so there are more people. Okay.
Yeah. And Natalie...
No, what they should have done is that it literally just should have been them, like, cooking food. And then him showing up to be like, I'm here for the party. I brought fried chicken.
You would think. But no. Because he has to have all these jobs, you know.
Well, yeah. But I would straight up just be like, oh, sorry for my outfit. I just came from the fire station.
True.
Like,
yeah.
You know, like, I should write a fucking Christmas movie.
I know. You probably should.
Anyway, it would turn into a horror, I guarantee it.
Someone would get stabbed.
Yeah.
So Natalie asks Chris if he wants to help out. And he's like, yeah, sure. And she says, but we need to find you an ugly sweater first. And I don't know where they found this. But they show them standing in the kitchen. And he is now wearing an ugly sweater that has Santa Claus riding a unicorn. Which is believable in real life. I believe that exists. But really, movie? Fucking really? Yeah.
That just gave me cancer.
Yeah, I know. You're welcome. And then there's a montage of them making drinks. And,
of course. Montage 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Montage 2. So after the drinks are finished, it shows them sitting out in the backyard, and they're sitting by a fire pit roasting marshmallows, which if you are using gas fire to roast your marshmallows, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
That's going to taste like ass.
Yeah.
So, just saying.
As a volunteer firefighter, you should know that, sir.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But Natalie's like, when I saw you at the front door with the pan of fried chicken, I almost lost it. And he was like, I almost told you about it yesterday, but I wanted it to be a surprise. And then...
Sorry.
You're okay. And then she's like, well, how many jobs do you have anyway? And he was like, well, I have a few. How do you think I afford this lavish lifestyle of blue jeans and flannel shirts? And I was like,
That's kind of funny.
Yeah. And then he asks how her podcast got started, and she says that she was a writer for this company, and then it turned into a blog, and then she had this fan who kept commenting on her stuff and sending her encouraging emails, and it was Penny. And then Penny had this startup podcast company.
Oh, so Penny's the stalker.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be a twist. And then soon she had her own podcast. And then she says, I never thought I would be a podcaster. I was like, yeah, because it didn't exist when you were little.
Yeah.
Like, it was like a when I grow up kind of a thing. She was like, I wanted to be a novelist. I didn't think I'd be a podcaster.
Yeah, nobody fucking podcasts.
No.
Except for the weird, like, conspiracy theorist guys that are, like, living off
grid. It'd be like saying, I didn't think I'd be a YouTuber. No shit. Because it didn't exist. But yeah, she says she wanted to be a novelist. And he's like, oh yeah, I wanted to be an astronomer when I was growing up. And he starts, like, pointing out different constellations. And he's like, this one is Cassiopeia. And she takes her finger and she points and she goes, that one? And what does he do? But take his hand and put it on her hand and move it. Yep. And, no, this one. Yeah. And then he's like, on a clear night, there would be another constellation right there called Monoceros, which is Latin for unicorn. Apparently there's a unicorn constellation. It's real.
Okay. And Natalie means Christmas. Yeah. So that's,
And then she goes, too bad we can't see it. Typical unicorn. I hate this movie.
I hate this movie too.
And then they have like this moment where they're both like looking at each other and you think they're gonna kiss. And then he's like, and that constellation right there is something else, And Natalie's like, I think I have to get back to the party. And he's like, yeah, I gotta get back to one of my many jobs. And then he leaves and he says, I'll see you tomorrow. And she says, you seem pretty sure of that. And then he says, pretty sure. Every time. Every time.
I mean, like, I would feel like that would kind of get cute at one point, but like,
there's
also
a lot.
Like, yeah.
It's like that Torn. Yeah. Where you're like, that's cute, but I hate it.
Shut up. Yeah. Like, yeah.
And then Emma comes out and she's like, Natalie, you won the ugliest sweater contest. You won the prize. And Natalie goes, yeah, I'm starting to feel like I might have.
Oh.
And they both like giggle. And I'm like, no.
You just bumped my cancer up to stage 4.
Sorry.
Fucking shit.
And then they sit down to eat s'mores with what look like completely unroasted marshmallows. Just like chunky s'more.
Like that's, ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big s'mores fan unless it's Kaya's indoor s'mores, but
if you guys haven't had indoor s'mores, look up that recipe.
Oh, please do.
So good.
Please do. Go make it. Get fat off of it because I already have.
Leave us a comment about how good it is because we already know.
Oh, yeah.
Especially you, Kaya. This is your... We love you so much. I Jones for it all the time. So the next day, Natalie is in her room and she's going through her boxes and she can't find her 8th grade book. Mm-hmm. And she asks her mom if she's seen it. And she's like, I want to find it. I want to see if I wrote about Chris in it. And mom makes a joke about how Natalie was supposed to be going through her stuff, not unpacking all of it. And she's like, can you get this all cleaned up when you're done? And she's like, yeah, whatever. And she suggests that Natalie looks in the study in case her diary is there for some reason.
Because your dad's just hanging out reading your diary.
Right?
Like,
just in the study.
Right.
And then the mom goes into the study where the dad is like working on something on his laptop. And she's like, Natalie and Chris have been seeing a lot about each other, blah, blah, blah. We should get Emma to ask her about it and all this stuff. And the mom is like, well, it's only been a couple of days. And he's like, well, it was only a few days when we knew it was forever, you know, like all this stuff. And then the mom leaves and Natalie comes in looking for her diary. And she finds that her dad is putting together like this special Christmas thing for her mom. And he has a picture of them when they first met pulled up on his laptop. And she's like, oh, how old is that? And he's like, that's from when we first met. And Natalie goes, oh, I know that story. And then proceeds to tell it, as you do in movies. But it's a different story than before. Because before it was like the band camp thing. And they're still at band camp. But she's like, you snuck out on the football field together and you held her hand for the first time and you saw a shooting star. I was like, what happened?
Different.
You just...
It's different.
I know. It was weird. I was like, why are there 2 stories?
Yeah, why are we retconning their origin story here?
I don't know. Unless it's like that was the next day. I don't know.
How many shooting stars is he seeing? Because he might need to go see a doctor.
Yeah. And then she said, I've never seen a shooting star. He says, don't worry. You will. So, jot that down. Yeah.
I can't reach the table to hit my head against it, so that was my fist.
So next we see Natalie, who is trying to write about true love in her podcast notebook, but she's just kind of like scratching things out, and then she like doodles Mr. Christmas and whatever. And Emma comes in and asks if Natalie can take her shopping for Christmas stuff. And so they go out shopping, and Emma is talking about how Billy was trying to get home by train, but there's ice on the tracks, so he has to find another way, and she's worried about him coming home and all this stuff. And, Emma's like, and Mom and Dad asked me if I would ask you about Chris to find out about your situation, right? And Natalie's like, what, are we in high school? And she's like, I just keep running into him. I don't know if it's coincidence or La Forza de Destina.
No!
And her sister's like, what? And she goes, oh, The power of fate. No. Ooh!
You and I speak some Latin and we don't talk like that.
No.
I hate that.
Convivium.
A lot.
Like, no. I just, la forza de destina. Like, okay, gonna have some mozzarella.
The only word of Italian I know is semaforo. And I'm gonna let you all figure that out yourself.
Okay. Yep. Isn't it like a swear word or something?
No.
Oh. Okay.
But no, I have guests that stay all the time that are like from Italy, and I'll be like, "Oh, I know a word of Italian," and they're like, "Oh, ciao, bella," you know, whatever, and I say semaforo, and they laugh and laugh and laugh.
Okay.
So go look it up.
Okay.
I'll tell you later.
Okay. So they're walking along some shops. Oh, I forgot. Oh my god. Okay. They're walking along these shops, and they see a bunch of the glass heart ornaments hanging in the windows, like there have been, and there's a sign that says "Home of the Glass Hearts." So they're like, oh, it looks like they make them here. So they decide to walk around the back of the shop. And guess who's in there? Making handmade blown glass ornaments.
I'm gonna say it was her first grade crush.
You would be very wrong.
Oh,
I know. Yeah.
Oh.
And it's not just like the local glass blower man. I mean, I guess it is.
Yeah.
It's Chris.
Oh, what?
I know.
No way.
Shocking.
Ah.
Yeah. So, Natalie, there's like a few more hung up in the back, and they're looking at them, and then he like turns around and he's like, "Can I help you?" "Oh, hey." And Natalie's like, "All of these red hearts," and then Emma's like, "have led you to him."
Oh my gosh.
She's gonna be dead by the time we're done with this.
This is why I don't watch these.
Emma is like, well, I'm just gonna walk down to the bookstore. Mom and Dad can give me a ride. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, and she like pushes Natalie toward him.
Peace out. That's good sister though.
Yeah, I know, right? And so she's like, what's all this? And Chris says that he only has his other side jobs to support his art. And he explains that his mom was a nurse in New York and that he made one of these for her to show his love and support. And all the nurses loved him so much that he kept making more. And now they're just a sign of like, thank you for the nurses and stuff. And she's like, how did you learn this? And he said, I watched this guy one time in Slovenia and I just picked it up.
That's years of dedication to do this kind of shit. Like,
yeah. And then it goes into this fucking long montage number 3 of him teaching her how to make them, a la fucking Ghost, let's make pottery, slow motion,
hands around each other.
Yeah. And it was like, roast it in the oven, and then we're gonna pull it into shape, and then we're gonna file it. It was like every step. Like, I could make one now. It was so long. I was just like, okay. And then once they're done, she goes to leave, and he says, see you tomorrow. And she says, you sound pretty sure about that. And he's like, well, actually, there's a fireman's ball tomorrow, and I was wondering if you would want to go.
Okay, that's kind of cute.
I know.
That's kind of cute.
And so she says, yes.
That's cute.
Just wait, my favorite.
I ship it now. Okay.
My favorite cute part's coming up.
Okay.
But back at home, Natalie's in her bedroom with her mom and her sister, and she's like, do we have anything going on tonight? Because I was wanting to go to the fireman's ball with Chris. And the mom is like, well, we were planning on going to the Chamber of Commerce holiday mixer, and I was hoping you would stay home with your sister. And it wasn't like, I'm explaining what I wanted to do, but no, you can go. It's like, I expect you to stay home with your pregnant sister. Okay.
Sorry, no.
I know. And Emma's like, I can stay home by myself. Billy will be home soon. Because apparently he'll be home soon for real. Yep. I know. And then we cut to Natalie, who is like going through her things, trying to find a dress to wear, but she doesn't have anything good. And Emma goes, why don't you wear the dress you wore to my wedding? And I'm like, why would that be at your parents' house?
Yeah.
Like, I get your childhood stuff.
Yeah.
But even if the wedding was in Lake Tahoe, I would have taken the dress home.
Yeah.
I don't know. It
or
was
return
really
it to
weird.
the shop.
I know.
Like, something.
Something. So the mom pulls the dress out of the box, and the sisters turn to each other and grab their hands and squeal. It was
like
one
they're
of the
excited
worst
that
moments.
they were able to find it, or they were like, oh my gosh, that's the
and
perfect
it's the dress. Yeah.
You already know what it looks like.
Yeah.
You already wore it.
Yeah. And it's not the most flattering dress. It's red and strapless, but it's not like a single panel in the front. It's got like pieces. Oh. It's all the same color. It's all the same fabric, but it's like pieces of paneling, and then there's a belt with like pearl studs all over it.
I'm not a pearl person.
Yeah. And it's a pretty dress, but it just doesn't really do her any favors.
Yeah.
So she puts on the dress, and they're all excited and whatever, and Emma's like, so what time is Chris picking you up? And she goes, I'm not. I'm meeting him there. Or he's not picking me up. I'm meeting him there. And Emma looks at her like, what?
Yeah.
And so she's like, it's not the prom. Like, it's not a big deal. I'm just meeting him there. And then it immediately cuts to him standing in front of the fireman's ball, like, waiting for her, holding a corsage.
Oh, yeah, that's really cute.
I know. I was like, okay, you got me.
All right.
I know. I was
I'm
like,
for it.
oh. And he was just kind of like looking around, like, I wonder when she's going to get here. I was like,
that's really cute.
yeah. So that one was cute. So Natalie comes down the stairs at the house, and Emma's like, Billy's only 2 hours away. I know,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so Natalie's like, oh, I can stay until Billy gets here at least. Like, I don't want to leave you
No,
alone.
he's outside waiting for you.
Know,
Get
right?
there.
Go! And Emma's like, I'm fine. This baby isn't due for 2 more days.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Natalie walks 2 steps toward the door, and Emma goes, oh, because the contractions have started right the fuck now.
Of course they have.
Yeah.
Yep. Baby's timing is inconvenient. And movie timing is inconvenient. So
Add those 2 together and
Yeah.
you're just fucked. So Natalie calls Chris and she tells him what's going on, and she's like, I don't know how long this is gonna be, but I'll see if I can, I'll try to get there as soon as I can and all this stuff. And
I don't know how long this is going to be of my sister giving birth, right? Like, it's
and
like
my first thought was like, why don't you call your mom and dad?
Yeah.
And be like, hey, Emma's in labor.
Yeah.
Can you come take her to the hospital?
She
or
is your
sit with
child
her?
after all. Yeah.
Like, no one calls the parents. This grandma who, like, the whole time has been like, here, have a Christmas cookie, baby, in the belly. I'm your grandma. Like, okay. Oh, in between scenes, for whatever reason, we see, like, a transition of the front doors again, and there's now a 4th white Christmas tree outside. That's hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
Hundreds of dollars. In trees alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Emma is inside doing, like, the which is not what the normal Lamaze breathing is. Like, what does Lamaze breathing sound like to you? Okay, yeah, it's hee-hee-hoo,
Yeah.
right? She does hoo-hoo-ha. And I was like, that's not.
That's talking to Tarzan.
I
That's
know!
not like...
Yes! But that was how she was doing it, and it made me upset.
Does that actually work?
I don't know. I didn't use it.
Oh, okay.
I had an epidural.
You're like, I did drugs.
Give me the drugs. So she's doing her breathing, and she has another contraction, and Natalie's like, do I need to call 911? Like, what is going on?
Or maybe get in a car and...
Right. Well, you can't go to the hospital until your contractions are such and such and such.
Okay.
Like, so she explains they have to be like 5 minutes apart, 1 minute long, or something like that. Like, there's a set time that you have to wait for, I guess. And then she tells Natalie that she needs to go to the dance, and Natalie's like, I don't want to leave you. And Emma's like, but what if it's true love? And she goes on to add that her true love story with Billy was she ended up getting audited, and Billy showed up to help her. And instead of owing $3,000, she got $3,000. And Natalie goes, that's it? That's your true love story? Bitch? And then Emma goes, yeah, I finally had someone who had my best interest at heart.
Aww.
And Natalie was like, oh, I never thought of it like that before.
Yeah,
bitch.
That's cute.
I know.
Fuck you, sister.
Yeah. But then Emma has another contraction that, like, interrupts them. And Natalie was like, okay, that one was less than 5 minutes apart. We need to go. And they're, like, hobbling her to the door when in comes Billy, just ready to go. And he's like, I'm here, my love. I'll take you to the hospital. And so I was like, what the fuck was the build-up then?
Yeah.
Why did we have to make that dramatic? Nothing.
Nothing.
Didn't cheat.
No.
Made it for the baby. He was cutting it close.
Yeah.
That was it. Okay.
Okay.
So she was like, we can go to the hospital. You just go to the dance. And he's like, we'll call your parents on the way. So they end up, finally doing that. So Natalie shows up and no one is there because it's been so long. Except for Chris. Because he waited, of course. And he gives her the corsage and they, like, turn on music and they start dancing. And there's, like, this long scene of them awkwardly dancing. And it's, like, the one hand on the waist, one hand in the air. Like, just side to side kind of dancing. Like they're actually in high school. And then the next day we see Natalie go to visit Chris in the glass shop. And she has a bunch of blue balloons that she just went out to get for the baby because he was born. And he's like, yeah, I wish I could do something with you today, but, like, I'm just so busy. I'm behind on orders. And she's like, why are you behind? And he's like, well, I met this girl that I've been spending a lot of time with. And
but also not. Like, most everything you were doing was, like, your job. So, like, I mean, the only time you ever, like, really, like, wasted time was maybe sitting in the cafe and then going to get the Christmas tree together.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's still a few hours worth of, like, work, but like...
it's not, like, all day,
Yeah.
every day. Yeah.
And then you had plans to go to the ball.
Yeah.
Unless you were going to skip the ball and work because you didn't have a date.
I mean, maybe.
But
it was cute because when she first called and told him that she wasn't coming, he's like, man, I'm going to have to dance with my chief now or something like that. I was like, that's cute. And she was like, oh no, now I really am jealous.
Okay, I ship it.
I know,
cute.
right? It's fine.
It's fine.
And she was like, well, maybe you should spend the day with her. And he's like, no, I really can't. And she was like, well, maybe you can come over tomorrow and like meet the baby and, you know, whatever. And she says, I'll see you tomorrow this time. And they do like the whole, you sound pretty sure of that. Ha ha ha. And then after she's gone, Chris gets a phone call from his sister. And he's like, yes, I'm still coming over. Yes, I'm still dressing as Santa. Like, don't worry. Even though his nephew and niece are like teenagers. But he's like, can I talk to you about something? I met this girl, and I think I'm falling in love with her. And then it cuts to the next scene. And Natalie is, like, writing in her notebook and trying to get some work done when she gets a new love video. And she opens it, and it's Penny, who is making a video with this very fucking weird-looking man.
Okay.
He's got, like, bright white hair that's, like, long, like, down to his chin, like, Snape style. And he's wearing, like, a vest and a shirt, and he just like is staring at her the whole time she tells this story. And it was he doesn't say a word, he's just like smiling, and then he like smiles at the camera, and then he like looks back at her, and I was like, ugh. But anyway, Penny says that for years her friend has been telling her to give Hank a chance, and she finally did give him a chance, and her friend was right about them. Yeah, he does not look like a Hank at all. This man's name is Francis, I swear.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
Maurice or something, yeah. That doesn't speak a lick of English.
Yeah, that is what he looks like, actually. Especially the way he's like, I am smiling at camera.
Yeah.
I am smiling at you.
Yeah.
I am smiling at camera.
Yeah.
Like, yes. So Penny's like, it turns out that we've both been crushing on each other for the last 5 years. True love doesn't happen fast. It takes time. And Natalie's like, oh. And she like pauses the video and replays it. And you can see the wheels turning in her head, and she starts to like think way too much about this relationship that she's getting into. And that night in bed, she can't sleep. And so she stands up and looks out the window at the night sky, and she's like, just give me 1 star. Just 1 star. And then that's it. She doesn't get one.
Doesn't get one.
So she goes down to the kitchen, and she finds her mom up making cookies in the middle of the night. And her mom's like, okay, well, what's bothering you? And she's like, do you think things are moving too fast with Chris? And her mom was like, well, things happen different for everybody.
Like, I don't know. You haven't fucking told me shit.
Right?
Like, you said you're going to a dance with him. I don't know.
That's it.
Like,
and then she asks, how will I know when it's right? And the mom says, you won't. You'll just make a decision and hope it's the right one. And then the next day, the family's in the living room, and they're all fawning over the baby. And the brother-in-law is, like, asleep on the couch because he was up with the baby all night.
Yeah.
And Chris comes in. He just walks in. He's like, I didn't want to ring the bell in case of the baby. I'm like, it's a good thing they knew you were coming.
Yeah.
Because that's weird. And then the mom is like, Chris, you have to hold the baby. And he's like, okay, sure. And he like awkwardly holds it. And then the mom is like, Natalie, get in closer so I can take a picture of you two with the baby.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird.
And she's like, no, Mom.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, just do it. Just do it. And so they take a picture, and she's like, oh, you make a great couple. This is such a good picture. I'll send it to you. And Natalie and Chris walk outside, and she's like, well, that was embarrassing. Yeah. And he's like, was it? It wasn't for me. Like, why is it so weird for you? And she's like, I don't know. I just think we're moving too fast. I don't know what to think. And he's like, well, you're the love expert. And he's like, hey, let me pretend I'm a caller on the podcast who's asking for love advice, and you can tell me what to do. That's how I felt about it too.
This box just fell.
And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, no, just go with me. And so he turns her around, so they're standing back to back. And
this isn't You've Got Mail. Like, what is...
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he calls in, and she's like, oh, hi, caller. Or no, she's like, we have Chris on the line. He's like, oh, random. She's like, oh, we have random on the line. And he's like, I met this great woman about a week ago, but she thinks we're moving too fast. And she's like, well, it does sound a little fast. Love takes time, especially true love. And he goes, I think she's scared. And she goes, you shouldn't do her thinking for her. Maybe she needs space. He's like, whoa.
Okay.
Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he's like, well, there's going to be a lot of space when she goes back to Chicago, which is 2,000 miles away. And she's like, you weren't expecting her to stay here, were you? And she talks about how they're adults and they have to live their lives, and like they're not just two kids who fell in love at the prom. And he's like, well, my crush started on you in the 8th grade, so maybe love does take time, but I've had time, you know, like, yeah. And he's like, I've had time to think about it. Why don't you think about it? And he starts to walk away. And he gets into his truck, and he pulls a ring box out of his jacket pocket and throws it in the what is that called? Glove box. And she like kind of like goes to go after him right as he's pulling away, and she like gets upset and starts like hitting the inflatable snowman, which was kind of funny. And then,
but like, why was he gonna propose?
I mean, we'll kind of get there.
This is not Utah, but okay.
I know. A week? Come on. So she goes back into the house, and we see that the family was, like, watching through the doorway. So they, like, scurry back to the couch, and they're like, nothing? Nothing happened. And she walks in, and she's like, Dad, the newspaper's upside down. Billy, you can't always be sleeping. I know what you guys were doing. Like, come on. And she's like, I'm fine. Let's go make cookies. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
How many cookies are you going to make?
All of them. And so it shows them, like, making cookies, and she's like, really, I'm fine. And then they're wrapping presents, and she's like, Mom, I'm fine, and like does that a few times until finally she's like looking in the mirror, and she's like, really, I'm fine. And like starts crying to herself. And then she's setting up for the podcast, and she's like, really, Dad, I'm fine. And the dad is in the study where she's getting all set up, and he's like, you should bring Chris over to Christmas Eve dinner. And she's like, that's not gonna happen. It didn't really work out. And then she's like, I didn't see my star with him. And he tells her that there's an early Christmas present for her in the drawer. So she pulls it out and she unwraps her 8th grade diary.
Aww.
And she decides to look at it.
He just went and kept it from her?
I think he found it
Okay.
somewhere. Yeah. She tells him that she'll look after the podcast, and he leaves. And so she opens it anyway.
Yeah.
And she opens a page, and we don't get to see what it says, but she says, true love does take time. So we assume his name is in there. Mm-hmm. Which, if you had a crush on somebody, how do you forget them? I don't understand that.
I don't remember the last name of the kid I had a crush on in high school, but I know his name.
Right? I'm like, even if it was like, I couldn't sit down and be like, it was this person this year. Mm-hmm. But if I saw them later and they were like, hey, I'm this person, I'd be like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, there was a kid in, like, grade school. His name was Nick. Can't tell you his last name, but I had a crush on him. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't remember what grade it was, but I had a crush on him. Like,
Yeah.
Now I just have a crush on my husband.
Okay.
That's true love.
Okay.
There you go. I give you cancer right back.
So yeah, she says, true love does take time. And it's like one of the first pages in the notebook too. So I was like, all right.
Okay.
And she's about ready to start her podcast when she decides to call Chris, but he doesn't answer. So she leaves him a message, and she's like, I really want to talk, but I'm about to go live on my podcast. I was like, great.
Because they always have to be live. Like, why do you have to be live on your podcast?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
and there was like a part of me that was like, okay, so they did this dumb, I'm going to pretend to call in bullshit. So is he going to call into the podcast? Is he going to send her a true love video that you've been setting up all this bullshit for? No.
Okay. That's what I thought, like, that one ding was going to be from Penny.
Right?
Like,
Something.
I
know. I was waiting so much. The rest of the movie was so fucking predictable, except for those things that I was like, this is going to happen, and then it doesn't. But she starts recording and talking about how Christmas is about sharing love with people, and she's always wondered how people find true love, and Christmas is so beautiful and sweet, and like this first part is really like basically like she's reading a script. Like it's really planned out and thoughtful. And then she kind of gets more rambling. She's like, we bake trees and we cut down cookies and we I don't even remember, but she does that to a few different things. Like instead of stuffing stockings, it was something else.
Yeah.
And her family is listening in the living room, and they're all kind of like, what is happening? What is going on?
Is she having an aneurysm?
Right?
Should we get in there? She's having a stroke.
Yeah. They're like, is she rambling? She's rambling. What is this? And Emma's like, no, Mom, I've got it. And she texts Natalie, ha. So live on air, Natalie starts going, and I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Yeah.
I mean, that's a little funny, but like,
but
it
like, was not funny
like the sister texting her that is funny, not her doing that.
Yeah.
Like,
and then then Emma sends her a text suggesting she tell her story about Chris. And I was like, but Chris thinks your story fucking ends in disaster.
Yeah.
So rude.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Natalie is like, I'm going to share a very personal story because I have now found true love. And she said that she stopped looking for love, but it found her. And now she's dedicating this podcast to Mr. Christmas, who stole her heart. And we see that he's driving to his sister's house, and he hears that on his radio.
Oh.
And he's also in the Santa outfit. Not like the beard and the hat, but the rest of it.
He got a beard.
Yeah,
Yep.
He does. And then she's like, you fixed my tire, you helped me make Christmas drinks, and you set my heart on fire. Get it? With the hearts and the fire. Yeah.
Fuck me.
Yeah. And then she's like, I finally know what true love is. And then she says that she fell for him and she knew when she saw the stars. And she lifts up her notebook and we see his name written. And there's star stickers all around his name.
Okay, but nobody else can see that.
Nope.
So like,
what does that mean?
they're all like, oh, that's cute. And you're over here like, it means something. And they're like,
okay. Yeah.
And he's over here like,
Stars. I did show her the stars.
Yeah.
That is okay.
Yeah.
True. And then after the podcast is over, family's hanging out in the living room and they're like in matching pajamas eating Christmas cookies again. And Emma's like, have you heard from Chris? And Natalie's like, no, I haven't. And then suddenly there's a knock at the door. And they all look at Natalie and she's like, I don't want to go into the door. And the sister like takes the cookie out of her hand and pushes her toward the door.
good sister.
Yep. And there's Chris in his Santa suit. And he's like, I heard the podcast. And she's like, what did you think? And he was like, I loved it.
Aw.
And she's like, well, I meant every word. And then they say, I love you at the same time. And then Chris says, you and I have both been all around the world, but you're the only world I want to be in. And at the end of the day, when we say see you tomorrow, I want to know that that's going to happen.
Okay.
And then he hands her the gift box. And she pulls out a handmade glass unicorn ornament with a ring on the horn. And she's kind of like, And he's like, don't worry, it's not an engagement ring. I just want you to know that I think we have a future together.
Okay,
I was
that's
like,
kind of cute.
that's an engagement.
That's an engagement
That's
ring.
like a promise ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of cute that he's not like, I mean, like, I'm proposing right now, but like,
Yeah.
I see a future with us. Do you see a future with us?
Couldn't
But
it have been like a necklace?
Yeah.
Or like, not a ring?
a necklace would have been so much better.
And then they kiss for the first time. They have not kissed yet. And it did a close-up, which they should not have, because like the Botox of her lips. I'm sorry, Melissa Joan Hart. I'm sorry. I love you. You were great as Sabrina. But the Botox is like hanging out the sides of the kiss, and it just looked so nasty. It was
Not her best look.
not good. So it has like this close-up shot, and then it does another shot where it's like back, and we're looking at them from the side, and like the front door is behind them, and everybody has their like faces pressed up against the glass of the door. And then they like turn and look at the door, and everyone's like, oh shit, and they run. That was pretty funny.
I guarantee that's the kind of parent I would be.
What's going on?
My 40-year-old daughter is finally happy.
It's not her boss. Yay. But yeah, they kind of like laugh and they walk inside, and you hear Emma say, I love a happy ending. And the door closes, and we like slow zoom in on a wreath that's hanging on the door, and hanging down in the middle of the door is a red glass heart ornament. The end.
Yeah.
Yay. So like there was some cuteness.
Yeah, that's cute.
But if you watched it, the cheese would make you kill yourself.
Yeah.
Like it was so bad.
Just too much.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And like it was so predictable. And every time, like I'm pretty good at predicting like what people say in movies and shows, because like once you have the formula down, everyone follows the same formula.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But every time they actually went through with something that I thought they were going to do, I was like, motherfucker, no, do something different. So while I was mad that like the husband wasn't cheating, and like there was another thing I predicted. Oh, like him calling in or him making a video.
Yeah.
Like, I was kind of glad that they didn't just do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely thought that was going to happen. But for my scores, I said that filming was an 8 because it was very well produced.
Yeah.
Location was beautiful. House was beautiful. Like it looked like a real house. And like filming was great. There was just a few like weird transitions and stuff. But other than that, it was great. The acting, I'll give it a 5 because some people were okay. And then other people were just not good at all. And Chris really delivered some weird ass lines.
Yeah.
Like the whole like, I can't wait to try those was just, it was so weird. And then for plot, I put a 3.
Yep.
Because it's exactly the same story that Hallmark and Lifetime spit out every year.
Right.
And like just the fact that he was like everywhere, I was like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
We get it.
Okay.
And then overall, I just give it a 4. IMDb says 6, but I don't like the cheese, so I say 4. Yeah, it was cute, but there was just enough that I was like, oh, okay, great. And like, I didn't watch this one with Tony because he was off doing other things, but he called at one point and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm watching that movie again. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. It was funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's my movie. Hopefully romance works on this podcast. I guess we'll find out, but yeah. Let us know what you think. Leave a comment or send us an email, bmoviebashpodcast@gmail.com. We have videos going up on YouTube, and we also have our podcast on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google, Audible, and Amazon Music.
Yeah.
Support the podcast on Coffee if you wanna. And maybe that's it.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a good time.
Have a good time.